The game's not here. I don't know why. I want to play it too. Maybe you can call them? You can introduce yourself as my PR manager.
What's up everyone, Eugene here and let's talk about Lost Judgment. A sequel to 2018 game Judgment, a spin-off from Yakuza series, Lost Judgment returns many great features from its predecessor while also bringing something new to the table. In the game, once again, you control Yagami, a former lawyer turned private investigator who's asked by his friend to investigate some high school bullying. What at first seems like a really boring case of just high school bullying turns out to be a part of a larger and darker scheme involving murders, suicides, vigilantism, and corrupted government. The greatest feature about the story I found out is the fact that it's actually dealing or shines a little bit light on current real issues of Japan, including suicide rates, bullying, and people not speaking up about the real issues. The main campaign is actually very large and it takes you a while to complete it, and it's told through regular cinematics, conversations, or just items that you find around in the world. Besides the main quest, you have also side missions that can also develop into quite interesting chain events. The story is dark, full of twists, and especially as you investigate and find out more and more, you realize that this is not just a Yakuza series where you're running around and beat the crap out of each other, but this is actually a really great crime story, and something like a Japanese version of Sherlock Holmes. As you play through the main story or side stories, you're actually drawn to it so much that you feel like you're really in Japan. And this is thanks to the amazing graphics and design of the whole areas and people. Playing it on PS5, I was just amazed by this beautiful graphics that is present here, and especially during the night when you're running around in the district of Tokyo, it's something amazing. Every building, every fast food stands, anything that you can find is actually really beautiful. At the same time, you have a great deep graphics of each person's faces and mimics, because they are very useful when you play as a detective, since you can see on the face of the person whether he's lying or hiding something, or he's afraid or happy about. And this is something really cool, because in this game investigation is really important. Gameplay in Lost Judgment is just huge. You have multiple scenarios that the game takes you through, and they are always fun to play. At your disposals you have two cities that were actually based on a real district of Japan. First is Kamurocho, which is a setting of its predecessor Judgment. Also at your disposal you have a new district called Isezaki Ijincho. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. The gameplay is basically an open world RPG. You can run around freely around this district, completing some side quests, collecting collectibles, but as soon as you take on some side mission or a main campaign, you have different scenarios that the gameplay takes you through. For example, you have sneaking around, where you have to avoid enemies by tossing the coins or throwing a smoke bomb at their face or silently taking them down. Also, the new feature here is a parkour, where you have to always climb around the building, but you have to pay attention to the meter, because if that runs out, Yagami cannot hold on onto the ledge and he can drop down to his death. Another gameplay mode or returning feature from a previous game is a chasing target, where you have to always stay on him while you have to avoid obstacles by pressing buttons that the game tells you to. Another feature is tailing a target, where you have to stay on your target, but at the same time you have to be invisible, either hiding in the corners or pretending you're doing something regular so the target doesn't find you suspicious. But the biggest two aspects of the gameplay is investigation and combat. Investigation, similar as the previous title. You always need to focus on suspicion points and investigate them. This may include just a regular area where you can find a way for you to reach the top building, or it can be, for example, a person and you can find the different clues. When you're investigating crime scenes, anything suspicious that you can find, you can actually then use in a conversation to pin down your suspect. The combat system here is huge and diverse. Returning our two stances, Crane and Tiger. Tiger is morely focused on one single person with charged attacks, while Crane stance is actually useful where you have a large group of enemies and you do a lot of AoE damage. The new feature in Lost Judgment is a Snake stance that is focused on parrying and countering attack, especially heavy enemies. At your disposal you have a huge talent tree. This is not exactly a talent tree, instead it's something like a shop featuring many different and fighting abilities, skills, or additional movement features. Looking at them, you realize how huge this game is, because for you to unlock every single item on this list makes you need to play this game for hours and hours and hours. If you have to look at the pros and cons of this game, first we can start with cons because there are very few of them. First of all, sometimes the gameplay is unrealistic, like you toss a coin, the guard goes check it out, but once you're approaching him or running away from him and he turns, he suddenly doesn't see you. Or like when you're reaching the target that you're supposed to and there are police officers standing, normally they would definitely see you, but in this case, just because you're a couple feet away from them, suddenly they're blind to it, which is a little bit weird. Another con I would suggest is like a lot of conversations. For example, you want to play, but because this is a Japanese game, as their style suggests, there's always a lot of talks. Even there are talks that you don't want to engage, but they're still happening. On the other hand, if you think about it, this is a crime thriller featuring a private investigator, so of course there's gonna be a lot of talks since you need to learn everything about the characters, about the targets, suspects, victims, and so on. Now, if you look at the pros, there are very many. The beautiful graphics, the setting of Japan. At the same time, you have an amazing story that features dark moments, at the same time some light and funny moments. It's told very greatly through flashback stories, and it just makes you very engaged. The gameplay features many modes that never let you be bored. You either fight or sneak around or climbing, there's always something to do, and many side quests on the huge map that you can explore makes you believe that this game makes your money worth. In conclusion, I love Judgment game from 2018. I actually completed it on 98% because I really fell in love with the game, and I'm glad that they actually decided to make a sequel, Lost Judgment, because this game looks even better. To anyone who's looking for a good game that makes you spend hours in it, completing almost everything and just exploring the districts of Tokyo, this is a game for you. You enjoy fighting, you enjoy investigating, and you enjoy this glimpse on the real issues that are happening in real Japan. Considering this game only costs $70, not $90 or $100 like many other titles out there, I think there's nothing else to say except take it, you will not regret it. But as I may suggest, first play the Judgment game. A lot of characters are returning from a previous title, so it would be cool to you to understand who's who and what's the history there. And that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Hit that subscribe and like button, leave the comment down below what do you think about the game or the previous Judgment, and I see you in the next one or maybe on a live stream. Thank you very much for watching, stay safe out there, and as always, keep on playing, my friends.